a lot of my listeners won't know like a citizen fish from a subhuman, so they may
Right.
not even be aware of you. But then again,
Okay, so
there will be a
it's not a this is not like a punk rock show in
no, no.
particular.
I love punk rock, so
Is it more music entertainment or more chat and words of
um
wisdom?
words of wisdom maybe.
Excellent.
I mean sometimes episodes are completely about like the war on drugs is big here right now, so I've done quite a few about you know
uh,
the drug poisoning crisis and things like that. So it's not all music, it's whatever, whoever happens to want to talk to me. And
Sounds
like,
pretty free and easy.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
So
where are you at the moment?
um I'm in a small town about 2 hours kind of west of Toronto.
Okay.
So same time zone as
Yeah.
Toronto, but going towards like the lakes.
Mm,
Um,
nice.
so yeah, it's a small town Canada, and we've never had a Subhumans show in our town, so you may
There's
not
far too
know.
many small towns we've never played at. Tis true.
um, yeah, so let's jump right into it. As I was saying, some uh listeners won't know a subhuman from a citizen fish. So, could I just get you to introduce yourself as you would like to be known?
Right. Hi folks. My name's Dick. Like it or not, I'm over here in England. I'm a singer. I've been a singer in three bands, four actually. The main three being the Subhumans and Culture Shock and Citizen Fish, who between them play a mixture of punk and reggae and ska, all with a political slant. I write the lyrics, I sing the songs, and here I am live on Canadian air, which is probably cleaner than British air. But there you go.
I hope so, but
Yeah, it's very likely. You got more of it,
yeah, we had a pretty bad summer for it last year with all the
really.
wildfires here. Um, so this may be more specific to the subhumans, but both Culture Shock and Citizen Fish have been around a long time now. So I'm interested in the ideas behind the writing. Um, uh, and singing for over 40 years. And how do you how does it feel that some of those old songs are still relevant? Like when you were
Well,
singing about
in ideally, it's a shame that they're still relevant. You'd think after 40 years, some of the things I'm singing about might have got better or changed. Several things have got worse. The only thing that has changed, not the only thing, but the one that comes to my mind first that has changed for the better over the years is the nature of food and the way that almost everyone now knows what a vegan is. Whereas 40 years ago, vegan sounded like something from outer space. There are vegan um, shelves, sections in supermarkets. You don't have to like scour the local 20-mile radius to find anything that's not got meat in it. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, not a vegan. I was vegetarian in 83 or something like that. And finding anything to eat that was vegetarian and resembled food, like wasn't salad, basically, was really hard to find and expensive to pay for when you did find it. It was tricky. And now it's like on the shelves in supermarkets. And because, oh, they're just co-opting the movement. No, they're not co-opting it. They've co-opted the movement the same way they co-opt everything else that we buy because we can't grow it ourselves. So let's face it, if it's in there, it's better than not being there whatsoever. The whole idea of not eating meat is now like a general publicly accepted stance on diet. And that is a major improvement over the last 40 years. I can't think of many others. Like animal welfare generally has gone down. There's more wars. There's way more pollution, or any semblance of trust in politics has disappeared completely. There's, oddly enough, there's less rioting, which is oddly supposed to be a good thing because there's less damage to buildings and stuff like that. But on the other hand, the expression of anger and despair that causes riots, that anger and despair is still there, but people are venting by signing petitions online. And that's not quite the same thing. It hasn't got the same effect. That liberating effect, as short-lived as it may be, does boost communities as well as do the physical damage to buildings and shop windows and that sort of thing. The community knows it's together in their point of view for whatever they're right about at the time. I'm not just talking about rioting involving communities, but communities in general fare better without all this digitalization of their social lives that's going on. I mean, the amount of pubs over here that's closed down in the last 10, 15 years, it's like, what, about 60, 70% of pubs are closed. The business ran out, taxes went up, Brexit and all that, but mostly people just stayed in, socialized online, couldn't afford to drink anymore because of the tax. The pubs are empty, as far as I know, because I don't go in them anymore. Nightclubs have taken off instead of pubs. It's all the quiet relaxation and meeting and chatting with people that's gone missing. You can't meet and chat quietly with somebody in a rave nightclub, and you could do that in the pub. I'm banging on about pubs now. How long is this interview like? Oh, only got 2 seconds left. Well, shit, missed all the good bits. And so yeah, oh yeah, about the songs still being relevant. Yes, horribly so. So how I feel about it is a bit not disappointing because it's almost predictable it would get worse. Singing songs like the actual song "It's Going to Get Worse" was just like, yeah, shove this, because like on the radio, like, don't worry, be happy, and I'm like, yeah, right, give me a break. I mean, yeah, nice idea, but no, don't tell me to be happy right now because I'm not too happy inside. And like, you don't know me, don't tell me, don't set the world to be happy because A, B, C, and they're all going on across the planet, and everyone's oblivious to it. Obviously, not everyone, but every generalization has a statement like that. Most people are totally unaware of anything to do with politics and the environment. And a lot of people, it's not so much they don't care, it's just they don't know how to care or what to do about it. And they've got to earn the money they get, and they've got to do this and they've got to do that because of the nature of the structure of society we're in. And they haven't got the time, energy, or understanding, or even the facts to go on to make them into more rebellious citizens. They wouldn't know what to do if they were rebellious if they knew the facts. They can't go to the mainstream media to get these facts because they're just not there. You've got to dig. You've got to dig less further because, what do you know, the joys of the internet. Digitalization of information means that everyone can actually go out there and find everything if they want to. But if their only dealings with the information systems around us is to glance at the headlines on the tabloid newspapers on their way to work every morning, whether they buy it or not, it's just like, there's the headlines, oh, that's happening, that must be true. They're not taking it in. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody. That's just my opinion over years of watching people generally. And I'm sick of shit when it comes to actually knowing all these people, as most people are. We don't know the people we're talking about most of the time, just the way it is because the amount of people there are. But the way society runs and the way politicians have conned so many people into voting, in this case over here, for the Tory party in 2019, Boris Johnson, that was just a complete fucking con. Anyone with half a brain cell could see it's just like wordplay and mind play. And people fell for it because of what they're saying in the papers about Jeremy Corbyn, yada, yada, yada. The press has got a lot of power, more power than the politicians. And yeah, so that's what I feel.
Okay. In that, assuming we gain wisdom and life is a learning process, are there any songs you look back on, not necessarily with regret, but in a new light, thinking you would have wrote them differently, or perhaps not at all?
Well, you see, I don't actually study my own songs.
Okay.
And I've never done the exercise of looking back at them and wondering if I could have expressed it better. I guess if I have done, I've just written another song more or less on the same angle. But I don't really work like that. It's like what's written. If it's okay when I write it, then it's okay to sing. And once it's sung and it's done, and then it's on a record, then it's definitely done. And there might be a few words that can be changed for better words, but I'm not really ashamed of any of the songs that have ended up on the records.
Okay. That's great. I think you've got an amazing discography to look back on that,
Well, thank
I
you.
wouldn't be ashamed of. Um,
I mean, like, if
and
I actually did look at all my songs now and go through all the lyrics, I could come back to you with a more constructive answer that might say, actually, this song, that song, that song, on reflection, are a bit like naive or, simplistic.
yeah.
Probably would. But
Mm,
hey ho, they are a product of when they were done, written, sung, recorded, and out there, whether it was
yeah.
like last week or 20, 40 years ago, whatever. Times move on, and your brain patterns evolve about things, and they're just we're not all stuck in our teenage punk rock years beyond the extent of liking the music we started off with. The mind evolves, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I would hope it does. And some
And it
people
gets
are,
more and more difficult to write songs once your mind has evolved.
yeah.
That's the tricky bit, is finding the thing, okay, there's just so many angles. Like, I want to write a whole bunch of songs about the state of Palestine and Israel at the moment, but the
Hmm.
subject is massive. It's not 4 verses and 2 choruses long. It's like huge. Anyway, you'll find out if that ever comes to being. But I generally tend to write songs that don't mention names or get too specific about events because they last longer as songs. Um, Politicians do eventually come and go. Names
Hmm.
change, parties change, politics change. But sometimes, like with this Israel-Palestine genocide going on, it's not just history. It changes the whole of our perspective about power and who's got it and what it does and what it can get away with, despite, I'll say, most people being horrified by the situation.
Okay.
And it's
Um,
scary. Not just
yeah, it
scary because of
is.
people dying, but scary because they are getting away with it, and they will get away with it, and they won't go to prison unless the whole system changes. But that's going to take longer than that. So here's hoping that the system's massive European courts and the people, the judges who sit above all the European Union, all that stuff, can do something about it, have got the power, and whether the power of someone like Netanyahu can override that is for the rest of us to witness and wonder.
Hmm. Okay. And you brought it up yourself. I was gonna, because media is a subject I've noticed you bringing up in a lot of your interviews that I've seen, and it's something that I've worked in, and I have my own um complaints from having been a part of it. Um, Especially like being assigned assignments which are essentially PR for terrible corporations,
Right.
where that they're doing one thing with this hand, but they're doing they're planting trees. Meanwhile, they're um,
Ripping
giving
down the
to,
forest.
yeah, and they're investing your money into oil companies and things like
Right.
that. So, um, where and you were talking about it a little bit, just us shooting the shit here because we probably neither of us probably have the real answer. Um, where can people go for better information than the corporate media is giving us? And I
Well, there
work.
are. Well, look, and you will find, I think, is a short answer to that one. There's plenty of people, especially on Instagram and I guess what used to be Twitter, I'm not on it myself, but I'm on Instagram. I check out people. There's a lot of people I follow there giving background stories to what gets declared in the headlines, and they're making a lot of sense. And a lot of the comments from people are giving me the impression that, you know, we're not the only ones fighting against the obvious enslavement of humanity by the powers that be, etc., etc. So the type of media, if you've got an inquiry in mind, you will find people supplying not only questions but also answers as to back you up in your suspicions that something actually is going wrong, and gives you a background to what you just saw on the news or read in the paper. There's a whole bunch of stuff underneath that to various depths, and that can be found on the internet. So hooray for the internet, as well as fuck the internet. I mean, I'm in two minds about it completely. I mean, it's there. All my songs about media used to be about the television, which the old style, laptop. And I wonder how many years, unless it's already arrived, before the time comes when kids under 10 won't know what a television actually is. Never mind. Because, television is just like surface level stuff, most of it. And occasionally you get like a program like Panorama or something, where there'd be a serious documentary about the nature of the power behind the actions we read about 6 months ago, what was really going on with corporations or news corporations or government figures, or even like the royal family. It would take things politically deeper down into a subject, and most of it very, frighteningly realistic and depressing and annoying and, what's the word, irritating, angrifying, I was going to say. That should be a word, angrifying. I'm angrified. But if they were just occasional, you had to look out for them. They were like once every 2 months or something. And the rest of the stuff just horrible, useless stuff. This is why radio is better than television, because you have to get it all down into words. You can't pause for another picture of a boat or a wall or a shop or a picture of a picture or a grass blowing in the mountain scenery because a bomb went off in Switzerland or whatever. You have to use the words to fill the space where the pictures are, and the pictures is what dumbs people down more. People can hear in somebody's voice whether they mean it or don't mean it, whether they're just making it up, whether it's just like rubbish, bluff. What is it, politician? What's that word? Oh no, don't forget words. Don't admit you've forgotten words. I know I've forgotten them all over again. PR stuff, for instance. That's not the word I was thinking of. But that's going to bug me now. I hate forgetting words midway through a sentence. It's the worst, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
I know you can't edit. You can edit this out, or can you edit this out or not?
I for the audio version, if you come up with it,
any crap bits like that, you can feel free to keep them in.
Okay.
Oh dear. That's the ironic, really. You have to cut out the bit about where we talk about cutting bits out, because if you left it in, it would be dead dull to listen to. That's what I'm saying. Words carry more importance when they're on the radio than when they're interspersed with loads of pictures around them, like they are on television. Okay, so the media is useful, it's informative, but it's also full of crap and just lightweight so-called entertainment to keep the masses dredged out of an evening before they go back to work 9 to 5 in the morning. And the jobs have got to be done, but there's better ways of doing jobs than the spare time between the jobs. So much waste of free time. Libraries are closing down. No one's reading books anymore. I've got time to read books because I'm looking at you and the internet and answering emails. But I've got plenty of books I haven't read. At least I've got that. At least I can read. All right, let's not dig it down too much.
All right. Well, in your spare time, I was fascinated by, on your Instagram, the balancing rocks and all that. It, compared to everything else, your mind's always buzzing. That seems very zen, especially compared to your frenetic performances. Like, you're into your 60s and you're still bouncing around whenever I see you.
It's all about the balance between the bouncing and the zen-like nature of stillness. And Yeah, I think psychologically it probably does me good. I enjoy doing it. We were staying at a mate's place near Nottingham, and he had this balancing trip where you get two forks, the tines of which get wrapped around each other. That's right. And a matchstick. So this is where we need television because it's very visual, this bit. The two forks jammed together are approximately 100 degrees apart with a matchstick inserted into the center of those, inside those tines as well. So you've got two forks holding themselves together and a matchstick sticking out at the back. So it looks like a bird flying along. You then balance the end of that matchstick on a bottle or a glass or any surface. And because of the nature of the center of gravity, because the forks are like 100 degrees from each other, imagine 90 degrees, but a bit more than that. The ends of the forks, the whole weight of the forks, most of their weight is around the center of the glass. The matchstick on the edge of the glass is in the center of gravity. So it stays there. And it's like, it looks amazing. It looks totally, you've got these two forks hanging in midair on a matchstick. And it just looks impossible. And it was possible. That started me off on this whole balancing thing, just like getting center of gravity and moving stuff around. And there's some balancers on Instagram, for instance. Oh, by the way, I think Instagram is great for pictures. And I paint as well. So get the paintings up there. Wordage on Instagram, yeah, if you really want it. But mostly pictures of pictures. And of course, stone balancing. This should be TV. It's where we need to see pictures of actual things I've balanced, but never mind. And it's not just stones. Favorite one was a chair in a bottle, and then on that chair, which was like tilted on one leg in the bottle, there was a teddy bear sat on the chair, and a candle in a candlestick on one of the sides of the arm of the chair at the back. Just all hanging there. Bowl, chair with a teddy bear on it. Nice decoration, that. And a candle on the back. Was it a bowl? There's another bowl. Yeah, not a candle. Anyway, if you can do that. And the thing is, how do you do that? And it's all about shapes. Like this, the top of a bottle is obviously a circle. Not all chairs do this, but most chairs have got like some sort of rectangular or square bottom of the leg. Some are round, but some are square. And the one I could do it with most easy was a kitchen chair where the legs were slightly tapered as they got down to the square bit at the bottom. And that just made a point where the chair could just balance on the inside that bottleneck. It can happen.
Okay.
People say, "Oh, it's magic. How do you do it? Superpowers. You're a witch." All this sort of stuff. No, give it a try. There was a girl on a boat. We were over in Bremen in Germany having a Bob festival. Bob being standing for Bath, where I live, Oakland, where other people live, and Bremen in Germany, where other people, it's all friends and band members who knew each other so well. We started a sort of festival annual thing. This year it was in Bremen. Well, last year it was in Bremen. And we were on a boat. There's a band playing on the one deck and on the back at the back of the drink. And I balanced an empty coffee cup on a little recess where a screw went in, holding the bench together. And this drunk girl came out and thought, "Oh, that's magic. That's amazing." I said, "You can do it too." I said, "Yes, you can." And she was drunk enough to like forget all her inhibitions, or German enough to forget all her inhibitions, and just tried it. After 2 minutes, she'd done it as well. It's like, thank you. It can be done. Anyone can do it. Don't look at me for being some sort of wizardry rubbish. It's just like anyone can. Who needs patience? A lot of patience and non-shaky hands. And you're just about halfway there. And not all things can be balanced. There's a lot of, you realize within a couple of minutes that this is never, ever going to happen. But it's all about points where things meet.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Because
it is quite zen, because when you get it, when you've done it and it stays there, it's just like, it's a momentous feeling. You spent ages just trying to get it, and it's less than a millimeter difference one way or the other, and suddenly it's there. And some things will stay there for ages, and some will topple over pretty quickly.
and you've
Anyway,
just got to flash that photo.
and you
while
do
you
need
got
that.
it.
You do need to take that picture. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's in my notes.
Hang
I
on.
was
Back in 10 seconds.
all right.
There you go. That was us. 3 seconds. Go on, have a bit of tea, or is it coffee?
Me?
Yeah.
It was coffee. No, it's water. It's a hot
Good
day here.
answer. All right. It was coffee. It's changed. That's magic, that is. I mean, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you could.
Yes, you could. Go on, have a go. Go on. I need to be drunk first.
That's yeah. In my notes there, I was what fascinated me about that, or the way I worded it, was that you you seem to be balancing objects that might not be so willing to comply with your intentions in
Such
balancing.
as, such as what?
Just I was looking at some of those rocks, and the shapes didn't seem to, from the photo, didn't look like they'd want to comply and balance, but you had them
Oh,
balancing, like
yeah.
the
Those are the best
seaside
ones.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because once you've balanced a rock on a rock on a rock, so to speak, or something quite complex, if you're at the seaside and you're on the beach, you've got the rocks balanced on the rocks. If you, but wherever you are, you've then got several, if you're lucky, you've got several angles from which to take the photo. So you do tend to take the photo from the angle where it looks most impossibly balanced, because it
Okay.
looks the best. The more impossible it looks, the better the photo. Similarly, if you're out at the sea, don't get a picture of balanced rocks with more rocks in the background. Go around the other side and get the sea or the sky, so the whole silhouette is lined up nice.
Okay.
Yeah, a good photo helps.
But I find as a listener, they have very different energy, all three bands. The big ones, I don't know whether you've done a lot of little ones in there too, but from like the punk rock intensity of the Subhumans through Culture Shock, and in where you were getting reggae, um, ska in there, but then the way it all came together by the time you got to Citizen Fish with the strong ska infusion. Um, Not to say any of the bands sound negative to me, but the later stuff, the Citizen Fish sounds it pumps me up. It's got a positive kind of infusion, even if you're singing about the ills of the world. I
Right.
can come out of it with a smile and feel energized, and
Well, that
it's
this is yeah, this is the power of music. Um, the Subhumans music is broadly speaking angrier music, faster music, uh, more powerful, some would say, in that terms of raw energy. Um, Culture Shock is way more rhythmic, um, and mellowed out, you could say. Citizen Fish is a sort of a mixture of both in a way. Every band changes the sound, has a different sound, because it's different people playing the instruments. The influences on the people playing the instruments is more or less the same, broadly speaking, punk rock, ska, and reggae to various degrees. Um, but yeah, the mixture of the members of the bands in the bands creates different dynamics of who does more invention, who has the more tunes, who's more pliable to play the same as being suggested, or would rather do this instead of that. It's the ebb and flow of creativity that has different dimensions and different dynamics in each band. And um, the other thing is, well, another thing might be as you get older, you get slightly less angry, or you want to balance out the anger with a bit of fun. Because like we're all into punk and ska, we pretended not to like ska because we were punk rockers and we were like 17 or whatever. We just like ska rubbish, yeah, fucking mods. But then years later, you hear that song again, like Too Much Pressure or whatever. It's like, yeah, this is actually really good, isn't it? And your mind broadens, and then you want to play different styles of music. And I was very lucky to be asked to play for what became Culture Shock, right, about a month after the Subhumans had done their last things. And the the nature of the singing changed just by dint of what the music sounded like. It was so much more rhythmic, so much more reggae scarish that Subhumans had ever been. And it went from to da, 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 da. There's like all this space to put words in. And I could say, dare I say, sing more than shout. It's a mixture. And like, yeah, you get old, you get better at whatever you're doing through repetition. And there was just more actual hitting the right notes sort of thing going on, and more space to sing it. It was much more, it was happier music, to be simplistic about it. Citizen Fish had 3 ex-Subhumans in, me, Phil, and Trotsky. The Fish music, perhaps as a result of that, is a bit spikier than Culture Shock. I wouldn't say less rhythmic, but overall the general speed of the sound and the sound of it is like a Subhuman ska band-ish. It is very hard to define bands and describe music, which is why music's so powerful, because it is mostly lying there beyond words. In order of describing what it is, you have to hear it, you know. So for anybody who actually don't know who the hell I'm talking about, please go and discover all Citizen Fish, Culture Shock, and Subhuman music on Bandcamp. Is a good place to start. Quick advert.
No
Section
problem.
the post.
I'll give you time later on to do even more of that. You want to get people moving that over to your Bandcamp or whatever after this. Yeah, so really you've been doing this over probably
Way too
45
long,
years. Yeah. What keeps the fire stoked, and what does the future hold for Dick Lucas?
Oh, if I knew the answer to the second one, I probably wouldn't be it, would I? I mean, what keeps it going? Well, it's fun. I mean, it's the funnest thing. And if it feels a bit boring, just like, hang on, imagine going to the 9 to 5 job full of people you don't like or do like, just the same old thing, work for someone else, some corporation, and then halfway through that sentence, I'm like, quite. Okay, so just wait till we get to the gig. Then it all starts with, you got to get out of the van. Da, 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 da. You know, you're traveling like 100 miles in a van. It's like, okay, whatever. But you get on stage, and that's the point where it all just makes sense and just is as good as it always is. And as long as it keeps being as good as it always is, then why stop? As long as people keep turning up. If nobody turned up, we'd be messed up, you know. But it's an ideal occupation, if that's the word for it. It's like a hobby, wanting to do something, realization that became just extended, and it's still going on. There was never any plan, you know, to do this when I was fucking 60. I've got a badge. You can't see it. The listeners can't see this. It says 63. I got it made up the other day. Cost me £2. Someone had a badge machine. So I cut out a circle of paper a circle of paper with yellow and red, half and half. And the red number's 63 from another bit of the same newspaper. Put them together with a bit of glue. Bam, bam, 163 badge. If you're going to be 63 and embarrassed about getting old, then you've got to look a bit more upwards and that sort of thing. So I'll let you know, young man, that when you hit 63, best you do, get a badge that says so. You know, all these like I am 7 badges, they sell loads of them. There's none of these on the market, gap in the market. This is it. So if the band falls through, nobody turns out to our gigs anymore, I'm going to start making age badges from anyone over 49, say. Good starting point.
All right,
all the way up to 120. I mean, middle-age crisis.
Well, I just heard my son listening to something, and I think you're maxing it out at the right point, because the science behind aging said that we can't really, it's almost impossible for our cells to keep generating healthily past 120. So stopping at 120 for your buttons.
Yeah, I think
that's perfect.
I think I've done everything I want to do by the time I'm 118, quite honestly. Those 2 extra years, we just, you know, lying around waiting.
Okay. Is there anything else we didn't talk about that you really want to get out there? Any message to the world? Anything going on right now that
Well,
either
this
with
is
the
obviously, yeah, not really. To be quite honest, in interviews, I'm totally in receive and answer mode, and that works a treat. And then when the question comes up, anything else you want to add? It's been the standard last question of fanzine interviews for decades.
oh
Anything
yeah,
you'd like to add? By the time you get to the end of that, you're like, I don't know, I'm just answering questions here. Um, that's the weird thing. If you ask me a question about anything you like, I can answer it. But given the choice to talk about anything, I don't presume upon myself to be like anybody with any specific knowledge that I can share that is new and original. I wouldn't know where to start about whatever topic there is. That's the way that goes. So no is a short answer, but I need to back that up with that slightly longer answer.
okay. That that works
I
for
mean, we
me.
could talk about politics, the world, elephants, trees, you name it, but the
We were
basic
already
is for all the issues there are in the world. Um, the first thing we got to do is look after each other. I don't want to sound like a hippie. Be nice to each other, help each other, and stop being assholes because it seems to be the best thing to do to make more money. Yeah,
all
that's
right. The
my.
older I get, the more I accept that sometimes I feel, sound like a hippie. So I
Yeah, but
can
the hippies had it well sussed out, really, compared to every other movement there's been. The punks were slagging off the hippies, and they most of the punks had hippie parents anyway. You know what I mean? Looking back on it now, yeah, yeah. Those guys who drove us around when none of us could drive us to gigs, they were hippies. They just like looked a bit smarter these days. They had all the ideas, peace, love, understanding. The music was iffy, but you know, a lot of other music was way worse than that. And like, yeah, a lot of them OD'd on daft drugs and went around dancing naked. I wouldn't do it myself, but whatever. Freedom of expression. They had the right ideas, and it all fizzled out into whatever. Fizzled out into the 70s. We all knew what that was like. Well, not all of us, because it's 2024. Oh well. But
well
yeah, as you get
even
older,
the
you get more you get more accepting that people are more the same than you think, and everyone else isn't a bunch of idiots and assholes, or
yeah,
we're not the just because we're posts, we're not the best people on the planet, really. We just like to think we are, but a lot of other people like to think they're the best people on the planet as well. It's called a paranoid inclusivity, and it protects us from the rest of the world. And as you get older, you don't need protecting so much because you've got more sense about what the world's really actually fucking like, and
yeah,
so things start to relax a bit more, and you can get angry, but there's more people get angry at the same point. It's not just a little exclusive bunch of you being angry against the rest of the world, because thinking like that makes you into a little elitist clique. You don't change anything, you make more non-friends than friends. That's pointless doing that, but as you get older, or hopefully before you get older, by listening to old gits like me on the radio now and again, you can think like, well, maybe things you start to think in more constructive ways about the way things are working around you at an earlier age than a lot of other people have done in the past. Knowledge is way important. Also, most of our brain evolves and stops evolving round about up from the years 0 to 12. Everything that comes into our heads before puberty is probably something to do with it. Is the basic pattern for the rest of our lives. So if you've got kids, which you obviously have, make sure before they're 12, if they're not already, that they know everything they can possibly know about art, creativity, music, love, life, understanding, tolerance, and looking after each other before they hit puberty and become selfish teenagers and grow up and be selfish adults who want to make a load of money and buy new suits. It's the only way out of it. It's the younger generations.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant point to end on. So
Okay.
um,
Does that what was the question? Yeah, right.
I don't even remember, but um, yeah. Thanks a lot for taking the time out to talk to me, and
Yeah,
um,
of course.
hopefully, I know you Subhumans are in Toronto for
August
something.
the August the
Yeah,
18th. Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully I'll be there. Maybe I can say hi to you in person at that. But
That'd be nice. Yeah,
Yeah. It
it's
it's
it's one of NoFX's last ever tours, and
yeah.
we're doing about three of those gigs, shows, whatever.
Okay.
Because they asked us to, and Fat might put out a couple of Sits and Fish things, and the Subhumans live album, so there's a connection, and he's a good chap, and they asked us to, and why not? It's nice in Toronto.
Mm, Um,
Yeah, I got that Democracy T-shirt upstairs. Was it
Pardon?
Democracy? What
Oh, we deliver?
We Deliver. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an old shirt. Well, they're still making
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I got mine a few years ago from Alternative Tentacles, I think. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah.
right. I shall email that to you, and you can email me back like the week before to remind me, just in case.
Okay, perfect.
Reminders are very useful.
Yeah, I find that, and you've got 10 years on me, so I'm finding I'm already hitting an age where reminders are extremely useful. So,
There's
um,
nothing about the 50s that's cliched. Have you noticed that yet? Like, life begins at 40, so that's the 40s dealt with, right? And you retire at 60, yeah, right. But there's nothing said about the 50s, the age group of the 50s at all. So you should feel fairly free for the next 10 or how many years you've got left in your 50s. It's a free decade, free thinking decade.
all right. Well, I'm going to make use of
Yep.
that.
And
It's
you hit 60 and start panicking. Don't worry about it.
all right. Well,
Thanks, Colin.
yeah, no problem. Now I've got to go, but thanks again.
That's cool.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good luck. See you again.
All right. Thanks.